It's nothing, really. Right, we'll catch him up.
Oh, we've lost them.
We'll find him all right.
But what about Grandpa?
Don't worry about Grandpa. Grandpa can take care of himself.
This is living. This is style. This is elegance by the mile. Oh, the posh, travelling life, the travelling life for me. First cabin and captain's table, regal company. Whenever I'm bored, I travel abroad, but ever so properly. Port out, starboard home, posh with a capital P-O-S-H, posh.
Hello and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is a podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies, and then we try to decide which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot P. of coloniabook.com, and this is my good friend and co-host, Margot D. of Brooklyn Fitchick.
Hi, everyone.
Happy summer. We were just commiserating about the heat and humidity situation on the two coasts where we live.
It's intense. It's not for wimps.
No, it's not. And I, as a wimp, I can tell you, I'm not coping well. But we have a very, very fun episode that we're going to get to today. I cannot wait to talk about it. If you are new, yes, we watch movies that have been adapted from books. But since the pandemic started, we made the commitment to do a brand new episode every single week. And that means we've had to kind of expand what we mean by the word book. So really what we mean for this strange time that we're living in, we mean any literary source. So it might be a short story, it might be a play or a magazine article or even a song. I was just the other day re-listening to our Harper Valley PTA.
Such a fun episode.
Fun. Yes, sometimes I re-listen to our episodes. But today we are definitely going to be talking about a book and an author that we've talked about several times. We cannot wait to get there. But what I'm trying to say is, coming up with a new idea every week is not easy. So we love getting your suggestions. If you have ideas for books and movies or any other literary source and movies that we can cover, you can do that in several places. Make those suggestions on the internet, meet other listeners of this podcast and us. And here's where you can do that.
We do have a basic Facebook page. You can be sure to like that, and you can leave suggestions there. We also have a private Facebook group if you want to talk to other people about ideas. And once again, plays, songs, short stories, novellas. It just has to be something we can get our hands on to read. And also the movie needs to be on a major streaming service. It can't be on a VHS tape somewhere. It's got to be someplace we can both get to. And we also are on, the private Facebook group is Book vs. Movie Podcast Group. You asked to join. We just talk about books and movies there. It's a really nice place to hang out on Facebook. We managed to do that. I don't know how, but we did manage to make a nice Facebook group. We're on Twitter and Instagram, Book versus Movie. Please follow us there if you use those social media channels. That would be great. And then we also have an old-timey email address. It's book versus movie podcast at gmail.com. We also have stickers and magnets if you're interested in that. And we also have bookmarks. Margot has bookmarks. I'm out of the bookmarks, but Margot will send them to you. We're both named Margot, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out yet.
That's right. I know. It's confusing for other people, but not for us. Somehow we managed to keep it straight. And if you really, really enjoy the show and you would like to help keep us in books and movies, you can also support us on Patreon. And I understand we have a new Patreon supporter.
We do, Kathleen, and she's very excited to get her bookmark in the mail. I dropped them in the mail for you, Kathleen. You should be getting that soon. We're putting all of our episodes from 2020 and then previous to that. So for the last 2 years, we have the episodes, and then before that, I just posted The Exorcist. We put up Shrek. James Bond what was the James Bond one I did recently for Her Majesty's Secret Service that just went up there. There's some really good episodes there. We also have a bunch of free stuff there if you just want to go check it out just to see if you want to make the investment. We have a couple of very affordable options. You just go to Patreon and look up Book vs. Movie Podcast, and it just helps us with the costs of the books and the streaming services and the sound equipment and things like that and the hosting of the website. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, speaking of James Bond.
Yes.
Today, we're going to be talking about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which was written by Ian Fleming, otherwise known as the author of James Bond, the creator of James Bond. The last time we covered a James Bond was very recently, right? We talked about The Spy Who Loved Me, which is absolutely dreadful. It's a terrible book. The movie is awesome.
Yeah.
Book was not good. So it's going to be very fun. But maybe you're new. Maybe you knew and you haven't heard us talk about Ian Fleming, who is a fascinating dude. Now, we've done, like I said, we've done at least 3 James Bond, I think. We did Casino Royale and Majesty's Secret Service, and then we did Spy Who Loved Me. Loved the first 2, hated the last one. But on the whole, I mean, is a very exciting author. But this is, I think, his only children's work. Is that right?
Yeah. So Ian Fleming was born 1908. He is from England. He served in the British service in the World War II. He was friends with Roald Dahl, who we've talked about a bunch of times.
Who was also a spy.
Also a spy. They were in the Secret Service together, the OSI, the version of that for Britain. He wrote the James Bond series. He died very young. He was a major drinker and smoker. And
they lived hard in those days.
Yeah, they lived very hard in those days. I mean, this is his first children's book, and he wrote it for his son Caspar. And it was because Caspar had told him, "You love James Bond more than you love me," because he was writing.
Ouch!
Ouch! And as a parent, it must be just like a sock in the gut to hear that. And it was because he was trying to make as many books as he could. Right. He created a franchise and they were living off of that. But so he took that challenge and he started this tale, and it's based on Count Louis Zborowski. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
I think so. But there is, the cars were invented. There was the Model Ts, and then people started driving more everywhere around the world. And then people wanted to start to drive fast. Like that became a hobby. It became a thing.
And if you're familiar with the James Bond franchise, like fast, fancy cars are a big part of the whole like Bond mystique.
And
Cars
gadgets.
And gadgets, exactly. Technology and all of that is very big in the culture of the Bond world. And so, yeah, it was like, the racing car world was something that was part of kind of the jet set lifestyle of the time.
Yeah, people who had extra money, or, they would buy them and hire people to race like they do nowadays, by the way. But this was like the very beginning of it. How do you make them faster? Do you put wings on them? Do you put an engine on them? Do they, what happens to them? And they became to be known as Chitty Chitty Bang Bangs because that was the sound that they made when they went down the streets going to the track. And so he came up with this tale, and it's about a man who's very smart. He's an inventor and has a wife and has kids, and they have a all the loving relationship. It's this car that he brings it home for the family, or they buy this car.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than in the movie.
Right.
So it opens by saying that, at this time in history, and I'm trying to remember where we are in history. It's before World War II. So we're in England, I believe, right before World War II. He's describing the past, and he's saying, you have to understand that at this time, most people didn't have a car. Like it was a very unusual thing to have a car. And our main character, so in the book, it's a whole family. It's a father, a mother, and 2 kids, a boy and a girl. The father is Commander Caractacus Pott, who had served in the armed forces in the Boer War in, I guess, South Africa. Ooh, ignorant of British politics. And so he has a military past, but he's this eccentric inventor, and, he's always tinkering away. And early in the book, he invents a kind of candy. I think in the candy, it is like that it's a whistle, right? It's a candy that's also a whistle. And he sells it right away. In the book, he sells it right away, and he gets this windfall of money, and he buys this fancy race car that's now kind of a wreck, and he's going to refurbish it because that's what he does. He's a tinkerer with, he loves doing that kind of thing. And now the family will have a car. So it's mainly about that, like, and how huge a thing that is for this family at this time in history when, like I said, it's a very unusual thing for anyone to have a car. Their children are very excited, and the wife too are very excited just that they're going to have a car.
Right. They can travel.
At all.
They can go places.
Yeah.
And it's so they're going all around. You're mainly like England and France and Scotland, like they're going around in those areas. I should say that this book is very easy to get. It's still, there's
I got on the Libby app.
Yeah, I got on the Libby app. I have the Audible book I got with David Tennant doing the voice, which is fantastic.
I didn't hear it yet.
So good. And it's a really he's this really sweet man. I mean, this car, they go for a ride and then they're trying to drive over traffic and then they find out that the car can fly.
Yeah.
The car is magical.
Yeah.
And
the car is magical and similar to the movie, but in a much more direct way in the book. The book is very much about, as the dad has refurbished this car, they are driving around and they're getting to know the car, and the car does all these amazing magical things. Like Margot said, they come up, they're going to the beach. Let's drive the car to the beach. But there's a massive traffic jam because everybody's going to the beach. And all of a sudden, something on the control panel starts flashing like, push this button. And they're like, what's that? And then it's like, push this button, you idiot. And so he pushes the button and the car like takes off into the air. So the whole book is really about them discovering, the car is really kind of a sentient being. And, there are all these times where like the car senses danger before they do and is protecting them as they're driving around and flying around and all that kind of stuff. So it's really about them kind of discovering and getting to know the car. The book is really concerned with that more than anything else.
Right. And they're at a beach near Calais, and there's a cave, and it's booby trapped, and there's some devices there, and they detonate these explosions in a cave, right? They
go to Calais, which is the beach, and I think the tide's coming in, and so they're like, oh crap, we didn't time this very well, and so let's go hide out in that. There's a cave up there. Let's go up there and like wait for the tide to go back out, and then we can go home. And when they go into the cave, they're like, something's weird here. There's a skeleton. There's like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The car is like stopping at these different points where there are these booby traps. And the kids are really freaked because, a skeleton.
Yeah.
And the dad is like, oh, somebody really doesn't want people to come into this cave. Isn't this an exciting adventure? And the family's like, yeah.
He always says, if you want to go, when you've had the chance for adventure, say yes. That's because that's something also that the author was a part
Ian
of.
Fleming. Yeah.
Right.
And so they go further and further into the cave, and that what's being stored in there is arms. They find guns and bombs and grenades and just crates and crates and crates of, why is somebody housing all these weapons in this cave? Like, no good reason. Mm-hmm. And so they decide that they're going to blow up, whatever they're planning. That is not something bad, obviously. And this is at a time when clouds are gathering in the European political landscape. We're starting to, he's describing, this is right before World War II. So they're suspicious and they decide to blow up the cave, which they do. Mm-hmm. And that is when the baddies show up and catch up with them.
Right. They go to a hotel and they had this adventure. They're staying in the hotel, and then the bad guys show up and they kidnap the kids. And they're going to use them as it not a mark, but what is it when it's a decoy, basically. They're going to use the kids as decoy for a robbery?
Yes, for a robbery. They're of a chocolatier, I think. Is that what it was?
Shop, yes.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like guns and chocolate and cars. Like that's like a lot of sweets, lots of sweets. And he's going to use that and there's like a fudge recipe that there's like a world famous. Eventually the police come, they rescue everybody, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, helps the family, flies them away. And it's, hooray for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
It's Knight Rider with kids.
It really is. It's like 2 hours. It's a very quick read.
It's a very, very quick read. Yeah.
It's fun.
Good.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it's like Margot mentioned a while ago, he knew Roald, how do you say
like
it?
RuPaul without the P.
Thank you. Roald Dahl. extremely well. They knew each other. They were like buds from way back. By this time, Ian is famous for James Bond, like he's super famous, and Roald is very famous for all of, James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and all of that. And so, is it on the scale of Dahl? No.
No,
No, it's not. But it's still good. It's still a fun story.
It's fine. I mean, honestly, if you have kids and you're driving someplace and you need something on, like it's a perfect one to have like
it
on
is
going in the
perfect. I agree.
background.
Yeah.
And so, sad to say, Mr. Author dies. And he dies of basically alcoholism or complications from that.
He has a series of heart attacks from his very hard living.
He has his second heart attack or his third heart attack. He's in the hospital and he dies the next day. And that was his son's 12th birthday. And he unfortunately died by suicide later. He just had this very tragic life. So he's gone. And then Disney was making these movies, these animated, live movies, these musicals. And we had Mary Poppins, and they did very, very well. And so this is MGM UA, I think it's United Artists at the time. They wanted to do something that competed with Disney because Mary Poppins made so much money. They came up with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and because the author isn't there, Ian Fleming isn't there to write the script or approve of it, so the family asks Roald Dahl to be a part of the screenwriting to bring this to life. And he says it was and we should say Albert Broccoli, Cubby Broccoli. He is the producer, and he is a character in and of himself.
He's a very interesting person. Yes,
in show business. He's born in New York City, but he's known as the guy that his family produced the James Bond films, and his family has a lock on that IP, that material.
They are still very much involved with the Bond franchise. I mean, they still own it, but
they do,
and they still kind of have final say on everything Bond. Yeah,
everything Ian Fleming. So they have because the Fleming family trusts them, and Barbara Broccoli runs it now. But so Broccoli puts this together and says, okay, we need a director, we need to film it someplace, we need to have the star and stuff like that. And they said, well, we have to get Dick Van Dyke because he was from Mary Poppins and he's available. It's 1967 when they're going to film it. Dick Van Dyke said, I'll do it, but I don't want to try an accent because I got reamed for my accent.
He sure did. Poor fellow. Yes, he really did. Good call, Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, that's on our Patreon wall, by the way. That's an older episode.
Which we said, we did Mary Poppins a long time ago. And I remember at the time we were like, why? He didn't have to do an accent?
No.
It would have been fine.
Yeah, and when people question it, because I do IMDb reviews of, fan reviews of movies, a lot of people write like, why didn't he try an accent? And then people write back like, oh, no. This is, you just want him for dancing. You just want him for singing and dancing. You don't want him to try to do other things.
And dadding.
And dadding. And just, we talked about this before. I had such a crush on Dick Van Dyke when I was a kid.
Oh, same. Yeah.
One
of my
crush.
favorite shows of all time
Was the Dick Van Dyke Show. And these movies just filled my little heart with joy. And then they were trying to get Julie, who am I thinking of?
Julie Andrews.
Thank you. Julie Andrews, but she said no, the character that they wanted to give her to play is too close to Mary Poppins. What they did was they decided, and this happens quite a bit when there's adaptations, is when you have a hot guy with kids, they said, let's make him a widow, a widower. Get rid of the mother.
Get rid of the mother. Let's take a page out of Disney and bump the mother off.
Bump
Get
the
her out of
mother.
the
There was
way.
what was there? The courtship of Eddie's father. There's like a family affair. There was a lot of stories at the time. The Brady Bunch was melding two families, and Eight is Enough was that woman died during the production. But anyway, they decided they were going to make him a widower, excuse me, and then he would meet this woman who's truly scrumptious.
Yes, which is such a Bond-esque name. In the book, as I said at the beginning of the book, the dad sells the candy recipe to the local nobleman whose name is he's Sir Scrumptious or Duke Scrumptious or something like that.
The Duke of Scrumptious.
Scrumptious is his name, but to have it be truly, that's like a Broccoli touch. I love. It's fantastic.
Right. They hired them. They had Sally Ann Hose is our truly scrumptious. We have Lionel Jeffries as Dick Van Dyke's father,
Okay.
They're the same
on.
age, basically.
They're the same age. Number one, they're the same age. Number two, why? Okay. I'm fine. He doesn't have to have an accent, as I said. Dick Van Dyke does not have to have an accent. Then why is the grandpa not the father-in-law, right? Why does he has the British father, he lives in Britain, but he doesn't have an accent, is a little bit harder to, like, it's a little bit bigger of an ask, I feel, of the audience. Like, why couldn't he be the maternal grandfather?
Right.
And then we're not worried about, like, you're the same age, dude. Why?
They were the
what's
same
going
age.
on here?
Yeah, there's a lot that we're being asked to, like, suspending the disbelief here. We also have, well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll play the trailer. The trailer's a little on the longer side, but it gives you some of the highlights of this movie, and then we'll dive right into the film.
Keep clear!
This is Caractacus Pott, inventor extraordinaire. Caractacus had a dream. He believed man could fly. At first, it was hard getting his dream off the ground. But Caractacus had faith. And a beautiful sweetheart. 2 charming kids.
Thanks truly scrumptious. You're truly, truly scrumptious. Scrumptious as a cherry peach parfait.
And an adventurous grandfather.
Forward out, starboard out, push with a capital P, O-S-H, push.
Then Caractacus invented a fantastic magical car. It floats, it flies, and it carries adventure wherever it goes.
Chitty, chitty, bang, chitty, bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, we love you. And chitty, hot, chitty, pretty, chitty, bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, loves us too.
It took them to castles and palaces and to far-off lands known only in lullabies.
Watch your boat from Hushabye Mountain. Sail far away from Lullaby Bay.
It also took them into the clutches of the nasty Baron Bombburst, who ruled over the evil kingdom of Bulgaria, where children were imprisoned and happiness was a crime. And the only thing that could save them was laughter and music.
Sweet, sweet, a bomb to blow on at last has been found.
Never before has there been such a gallery of marvelous characters. Dick Van Dyke as Caractacus Pott. Sally Ann Howes as Truly Scrumptious. Lionel Jeffries as Grandpa Potts. Gert Frobe as the nasty Baron Bombburst. Anna Quail. James Robertson Justice. Benny Hill. Robert Helpman. And Heather Ripley and Adrian Hall as the children.
Go down!
Never before has there ever been such a magical musical entertainment as Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Hi, chitty, no chitty, anywhere we go.
Continuous performances at popular prices. Direct from its reserved seat presentation.
Bang, 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 chitty, chitty, bang, bang. A fine for bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, fine for bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang.
To round out the cast, we have Gert Frobe as Baron Bombburst. These are also like broccoli names.
These are such great character. I mean, every single person in this cast is an amazing character actor. They're great.
We have Benny Hill as the toy maker.
He's phenomenal.
He's great. I mean, I remember that annoying show when I was a kid. They tried to force him on us, but he's great here.
Do you know that show ran from like 1955
Yeah.
to 1989?
And then a girl running in her underwear.
Yeah, But he's super good in this.
He's great. He's perfect. Anna Quail plays the Baroness bombers. We will talk about them.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, there's something going on there I didn't notice when I was a kid.
No, nor I.
Between these kids. And the kids are Adrian Hall as Jeremy and Heather Ripley as Jemima, who are adorable, wonderful little Muppets. And I saw this documentary, and it was about after the fame of this show, and it was focused on the kids. It was great. It was an ITV special, and it had all these Christmas commercials. Like I love when people leave the commercials in. This poor girl, Heather Ripley, she was sent there to film this movie. And they filmed this in many different locations around England.
It's a lot of locations. And Germany.
And Germany, yeah. And France, it was all over the place. This poor girl, like, she was away from her family for several months. And when she came back, her parents were divorced. Right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know, your heart breaks. Like, she made one friend with a kid, where she was, and then the other kid, Jeremy, played like Adrian Hall. He lived near Pine Studios, so he was totally okay. But I mean, she's fine. They're all doing great now. But it's just they were there for months and months and months. It was this huge production, and they were, like we said, competing with Disney. So who do you get to do the music? You get the Sherman Brothers. Why would you hire anybody else? And so they hire the Sherman Brothers, and they're filming on location. It's a big deal. The story now is about he's a widower. He's not really looking for anybody, but they keep running into this woman wherever they go.
We forgot to mention, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
we forgot to mention the screenplay.
Yes.
Because remember,
Roald Dahl.
Ian Fleming is gone. And so, Margot's talking about all the changes between the book and the movie. The screenplay was rewritten or written by Ken Hughes and Ian Fleming's old friend, Mr. Dahl.
And he said it was a terrible experience and that they never used any of his ideas. He was a crank. We forgot to mention, by the way, there's a character named the Child Catcher.
Yes.
Children, where are you? I know you're here somewhere. I've lots of lovely goodies for you.
Jeremy, mustn't.
Lollipops. And all free today. Cherry pies, cream puffs, ice cream, treacle tarts.
Treacle tarts and ice creams and all free.
Come along, kitty winkies.
Come on. But Jeremy, Trudy said we mustn't just stay there. Trudy's son as well. Come on.
The actor is Robert Helpman, who is a dancer.
Who was like, terrifying in the movie, but he was like the premier male ballet dancer of the globe. He danced with Anna Pavlova, and I think he managed Margot Fontaine later on. I mean, this is like, and when you look, like, the physicality of his performance is spectacular. He's so scary.
He's terrifying. He tries to scare kids by wooing them with treats, like fudge and treats and sweets and things like that. They're talking all about that all the time. And Dick Van Dyke said there's a scene where he was in a car, and then the front of the car hit like a pothole or something, and he was thrown from the car, and everybody held their breath, and he just kind of did a graceful tumble and just kept going. Like, he was in such good shape and such a good dancer, and he was so graceful. But so Truly Scrumptious is a lady in town, and she and Caractacus Pott have a flirty relationship. She's kind of looking for her family. He's looking for somebody with his family. They're all kind of looking for each other, and they're on this adventure. And there's this whole scene with the sweets, and they have a song called Toot Sweets. They do things that they did in Mary Poppins. It seems like they're really trying to go for that.
Oh, really, really, really?
Yeah. There's a thing where he dances with a cane, and it's like he just did that with a broomstick.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
a few years before. I should say this movie didn't do very well at the time. It was okay.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's there are so many, like, let's just take that from Mary Poppins, and we'll take that one over here from Mary Poppins, and we'll have even Sally Ann. Yeah, she was an understudy. So when Julie Andrews left My Fair Lady, who took over the role?
Sally Ann House.
Sally Ann House.
And she's so beautiful, and her voice is gorgeous. She's just
beautiful voice, and I agree. And they
perfect.
have, and I think they have really good chemistry too.
Great chemistry. And so they get this car, and he sells enough of I like the hair scene. This movie's too long. Let me just say that. It's like almost 2.5 hours.
It's like 40 minutes too long.
It's easily. There's a lot you could take out of this.
It's a mini series.
It really, really is. It's a two-parter. I mean, they actually have an intermission. But there's a scene where he's selling the hair tonic, kind of gets a hair cutter and it burns the guy's head. But he gets some money.
With Barbara Windsor. I love Barbara Windsor.
There are some, as blonde, as they call her.
As the blonde.
There are so many great character actors in this. Like, they hired the best people to be here. He gets this car, fancies it up because he's a tinkerer, and then they're driving along, and then they find out, well, this car can take off and fly, and this car can do this, it can do that. And it's pretty much the same thing, but there's no Baroness or there's no bomb bursts in the book, right?
No, there's nothing like that in the book. In the movie, spoiler alert, in the movie, this is all like, we find out it's all just a fantasy sequence, basically. It's a story that the guy is telling. I mean, in the movie. In the book, they really are in danger. Like, these bad guys are really after them. So, yeah, but I love it. I think it's great. It's very Roald Dahl.
Yes.
That whole thing about this couple and it's great. I think it's good. I think it works.
Well, they get captured.
The whole pirate sequence.
Oh yeah, the pirate sequence is fantastic. All the stuff
and the spies.
Yeah, and they're picked up because the Baron and the Baroness have no children around them. They hate children. That's a Dahl thing too, because he hated kids. But they capture the kids, and the kids are to the side. And then we meet the Baron and Baroness, and this is what I was talking about with you before, is they have a highly charged sexual relationship, the Baron and his wife.
There's some stuff going on there.
The outfits she wears. I've never seen a children's movie where so much black is worn by the woman, and she's not in mourning. She's not a widow. Like,
no, she's being sexy.
She's being sexy time.
It is to be sexy. It's sexy time. For sure.
My mom and I used to sing Chutchy Face to each other when I was little. We would say that to each other, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's from that movie I saw when I was a kid that scared me. And I look at it now, I'm like, oh, she's wrapping, she has like a long braid, and he's wrapping the braid around her neck, and she's wearing a bustier, and I mean, it's, wow.
Fell a strudel over mine eye.
Your chutchy-wutchy nose, your chutchy-wutchy eyes, they set my heart a-fluttering.
Your oochie-coochie ways, your oochie-coochie gaze wilts me down like melting butter.
You're my little churchy face,
and you're my teddy bear. Together we're a chutchy-wutchy, oochie-coochie pair.
Principality where they live is called Bulgaria.
Bulgaria, that's also very Dahl.
And also very, very Dahl is, and very, very British, I should say, is that, Bulgaria is somehow Germany. They all speak German in Bulgaria because, of course, Germans are the baddies. Mm-hmm. And what I can't believe is, like, they film in Germany, and, like, Germany was just, like, fine with that. Like, yeah, come make fun of us and make us the evil villains of the world.
Yeah,
in this movie,
I have friends. I have a friend from Germany, and they actually make a point of, like, raising people to be aware of World War II and to to make amends for like what they've done in the past and be aware of their past and that kind of thing. But it's pretty remarkable because, we don't get that in the South here.
No. Can you imagine?
No. And and it's funny because the Baron hates children, but they all act like children. It's very funny. They all are very childish.
Very, very funny. Very clever.
It is. And then I love the scene where Benny Hill, he's the toy maker. He creates a doll, and Truly Scrumptious is basically a marionette doll. Like, she comes out of the box, and everybody in the audience is wearing purple. The color schemes are bananas.
The art direction's awesome in this movie.
Really great.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but I love it. I mean, this scene is a very famous scene.
What do you see, you people gazing at me? You see a doll on a music box that's wound by a key. How can you tell I'm under a spell? I'm waiting for love's first kiss. You cannot see how much I long to be free. Turning around on this music box that's wound by a key. Yearning, while I'm turning around and around.
I was so impressed by her choreography in this scene because she's a singer. She's not a ballerina, right? And
No.
These are so precise, and she is doing it so well. It's really, really, there's so much great physical acting by everybody in this movie. It's such a delight as an adult to be able to like watch all of these, from the Baron to, of course, the child catcher is amazing, but also Benny Hill. And like, I would have loved to have seen, I mean, maybe this exists and I just, we're just in America and we don't know, but he's not the funny guy in this. He's the serious character. He's like the one serious character in the thing. And he's fantastic. I would have loved to have seen him in something dramatic. I bet he would have been great.
Someone would always throw a woman running in her underwear at some point. Would have to. They're just so used to that. Yeah, the kids are caught by the child catcher, and then we have to rescue the kids.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so is the grandfather. The grandfather also has been caught by the Baron.
I like it, but his
thinking
little
who
thing,
thinks he's the
like the little house that falls in the
so
water.
Cute in the little house. That's so, again, very Dahl.
Yes.
Such a Dahl touch that to have this eccentric grandpa who says, like, I'm going to Africa, I'm going to India. And he's going into this tiny little, like the size of a phone booth, little hut every day.
They also have the Toot Sweets, which is it's a confection that they created. There's a scene where like all these dogs show up and because they're whistling and the dogs. I mean, there's lots of little clever touches throughout this, like the dance sequences, and it's all high level stuff. I don't think it's the best Sherman Brothers. I think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the song, is super catchy. Like once that's in your head,
right?
It really doesn't go away. And I love Tootsie Face, but
I do too. But some of the other songs, like "Lovely Lonely Man," is about like 9 hours long.
Yeah.
But as we said, when we've talked about several other kind of late Disney, when was it? We had a month where we did all Disney a while back, right?
Yeah, last November, I think.
November. Okay. As we mentioned then, like the Sherman Brothers ended up on the outs with the Disney studios for a little bit here about this time in the era. all in all, I think the music's very good, but there's too many numbers. It's just too long. The thing's just too long.
Yeah.
It's not that the songs are bad. I think the Truly Scrumptious song is very good.
Yeah.
The one where the puppets, where they bring it back for the puppet dancing sequence. I think, even though it's such a Mary Poppins ripoff, I think the dance with the canes is very super good. I'm tired just watching it.
Yes.
But the thing is it's just too many songs. It's just too many songs. There's too many of them. The movie is just too long. But yeah, I think it's very good. I don't understand why it was panned as much as it was at the time. And I'm sort of suspicious about it. Because Disney is a very big force in media. And when the film was about to come out, Dick Van Dyke did a press release promoting the movie, and he said, "We're going to out Disney."
Oh boy, that's not a smart thing
Which
to
I
say.
think
that might have stuck in their craw.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. They might have felt something about that. And so I'm a little suspicious about the quote unquote critical reception of this movie, because it's a kids movie. Is it like worse than Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? I don't think so.
No, and I think I would say, if I, as an adult now watching it, I'm like, I think this would scare kids. This is not for little kids.
True. This is true.
This is. And there's some scenes that are very especially the child catcher, and I also. It's a little bit of a Dahl thing. I think that's some anti-Semitism there, the way he makes the bad guys with those really long noses.
So I was wondering about that. Was there some animosity? Because Disney never produced, as far as I'm aware, produces a Dahl story.
Mm-mm.
Which I was surprised because, who's the other famous children's content creator that is anti-Semitic? Walt Disney. I would think they would get along like gangbusters, but apparently not.
No.
But yes, when we talked about Roald Dahl, this is the thing. He's very, very vocally anti-Semitic. He was not keeping that under wraps at all.
No.
And nor was Walt Disney. So, but anyway. Yeah, I agree. I think it, we have to have the nose.
It's one thing, once I learned that about him and then I see things, I go, oh, okay. Same with Dickens, some of his Jewish character.
True.
You know. So anyway, there's that history going on there. I think it is too scary for little kids. It's not really for adults. I think this is a kid's movie. I'm sure my dad would be bored by it. My mom loves musicals, so she'd be fine. But I'm sure my dad would have been bored by it.
It's long and meandering, but to keep your kids still on a hot summer day.
Oh, yeah, it was fine. Look, they re-released this a couple of times. I know I saw this in the movie theater, along with Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Similar, and a similar response, and same thing, it's too long, and good analogy. I don't think I like I said, I'm a little suspicious of the way that it was received at the time, because and the other thing is that it has gone on to be, as Margos said, it's on TV all the time.
Yeah,
and it's one of the top 20 most popular kids movies certainly in Britain, if not here as well. It has had a very, very long life. Anybody our age, knows that song.
Oh, they know it. Once you hear it, it never escapes your brain.
No.
And also, it was a musical. It was a very popular, successful musical.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it sooner? Really, if you think about it, it's right there.
Really, agreed. I don't know. And I've never seen it. I never saw it. I don't know anybody who has seen it. But it ran for a good long time. It had a pretty long run.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think there's a lot of really great things. Just number one, the casting.
Yeah.
The casting in this is so awesome. The kids, you have to have great kids. These kids are really good. They're very natural.
Yes.
They're very believable as brother and sister. They're very believable as his kids. He's great with them, of course. Mm-hmm. She's phenomenal with them. They really have I think she might be the magical little element, Sally Ann, because she has such great chemistry with everybody. The character that's her dad, you really buy that relationship. She's great.
Yeah, the director was Ken Hughes, and everybody said that he was overwhelmed by the project. It filmed for months and months and months, and you're talking about several locations.
All these dance things. Like, I don't know that he'd ever done like big dance numbers before. Like, they're very complicated numbers that they're doing. Yeah.
And Dick and Sally Ann sort of like were a buffer for the kids because they didn't like the way he would talk to them. So they would say, just tell us what to do and we'll talk to them.
Yeah, because he'd never worked with kids before.
No, and I don't think he ever did after that either. He was not into it.
There's just I was going to say there's just the two of them, but no, there's actually like
there's a scene
hordes
at the
and
end.
hordes of children at the end.
They have their revenge in the end. It does okay. So it does okay at the box office, but they release it later on. It does great on DVDs. The books they've made sequels to the books. I mean, it does totally fine, and it was nominated for an Academy Award for best, not for art direction and not for costumes.
The art direction is so good.
It's really, I think. This movie was released December 18th. I don't think this is a holiday movie. I think this is totally like a summer
it's
film.
a summer movie. Yeah, because they're at the beach. The whole thing is ostensibly taking place a sunny trip to the beach. The costumes are the costumes, and set and art direction and cinematography better than bed knobs and broomsticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way better. Yeah, I'm surprised. I was really impressed. I mean, I shouldn't be because, again, like when you remember that this is the people who produced the Bond franchise, right? Yeah. Then you have these beautiful, like, over aerial helicopter shots, right, of the beach and the pirate and the castle. It's really well done. And the colors, like you're saying, like the color schemes are the way they're sort of discordant in the Baron's court. And it's very consistent across the board. Like all of that is so well thought out. And then again, these performances from all of these characters. I mean, just all the people in the scene where they're having like the birthday celebration in the court and all the people who are doing the dance, the ballroom dancing. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
That was my phone. I forgot to silence. Yes, my ringer is Los Lobos.
Is that La Bamba? Which one was that?
No, it's a song in Spanish. Yeah, I mean, I was so impressed. Just as an adult, I was very impressed. Yeah, I agree. Child Catcher is super scary.
Yes.
Yeah, smaller kids. Like I think my 9-year-old niece could handle it. I'm not so sure about my 6-year-old nephew.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your kid. And I have friends who raise their kids on horror movies, and that's so that they don't.
That's true.
They don't think twice about it.
It's I know people like that too. Yeah.
They're like, that's just it for them. So I remember I was a kid who liked horror movies, and I remember being young and being very terrified of this guy. But I liked the songs. Like I said, the Bombers relationship is very sexual and very
and like S&M kind of stuff.
Yes, BDSM. That's one of my notes I wrote down. Like she acts like she's like an Insta girl, like she's an Instagram girl, like the boobs and the long hair tail and the black leather and the stockings, and she's using her foot, like rubbing her foot against him. I'm like, wow, this is I was like, I did not get this when I was
nor did I.
That went right over my head when I was little. But yeah, these two have a good time.
I enjoyed it. I just wish it were shorter.
Yeah,
but
it could be
that's
shorter.
Like the worst thing I can say about it.
Yeah.
Too many songs. I wish it were shorter. But it's great. The story's good. Yeah, the relationships are all believable. I mean, again, the only is the fact that the grandfather and Dick Van Dyke seem to come from two different countries, and their father and son, and they also seem to be the same age. Other than that, I have no qualms.
Yeah.
Sets are awesome. Locations are awesome. I just really liked it. I thought it was super solid. I'm trying to decide, did I enjoy it more than the book? I think I did enjoy it more than the book.
Yeah, I mean, I super love the audiobook. I would recommend that, once again.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's
good.
not scary. I mean, that's something like you could definitely have your kids in the car and put that on, and they'd be totally into it. And he does a great job, because it's David Tennant. Of course he's going to do a good job. Yeah. I think the movie was great. I mean, it's like I said, there's a lot there. See it now. If you haven't seen it in a while, now that you've listened to our show, go back and check it out and let us know what you think. Because, those are the things that immediately jumped out for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm gonna say movie. I'll say movie.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next?
Well, you and I were talking off the air about an idea that we'll do probably in a couple of weeks. We're going to have a special guest join us. She's been on the show in the past. She's really terrific. I was thinking, Margot, because it's hot, it's summer, I'm thinking of a song, and I'm thinking of the 60s. I'm thinking Yellow Submarine, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
Yes.
Because, okay, we haven't talked about this on the air. I don't think we talked about it at all. My husband is like, and my son are huge Beatles fans. And when we Get Back,
Yes.
my husband was one of the ones that like stayed up till whatever 2 a.m. for it to be released online so he could stay up and watch it.
Same.
When it first went up. So I've lived with Get Back, like it's like a roommate of mine now.
It's my roommate. You've been to my place. I have a huge Beatles poster.
I know.
I'm a huge fan. So I don't want to force it, but I think it's like 1968, the pop art of it.
Let's
Great
do
songs.
it. That sounds awesome.
It'd be easy for everybody to get and fun. So
Great.
that's what we're going to do next. Thank you once again for listening to us. Oh, please review the show if you like what you hear. We would love that. Just, or tell a friend about the show. And Margot, where can they find you?
You can find me online at coloniabook.com, and all of my social media callouts are at She's Not Your Mama. And where can they find you?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fitchick, mostly for Twitter and Instagram. My site is brooklynfitchick.com. I'm also on TikTok at Margot Donahue. Look out for the child catchers out there. Try to get the theme song out of your head. I'm sorry if we put it in there in the first place.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
We'll be back soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Book versus Movie podcast. We are a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. We follow the hashtags LadyPodSquad and Podern Family. If you want to support the show, you can go to our Patreon page, go to Patreon, and look for Book versus Movie Podcast. We have a basic Facebook page, but we also have a private Facebook group. Go to Facebook and type in Book vs. Movie Podcast Group if you want to join that. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Book versus Movie. Spell all those words out. If you'd like to send us an email, it's Book versus Movie Podcast, spell that all out, at gmail.com. You can follow Margot D at Brooklyn Fitchick on social media and Margot P at She's Nacho Mama. Thanks so much again for checking out our show, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.